The Reds are up 1 minute and down the next. That's what it's like being a Liverpool fan at the moment. This is Reds Down Under. This is the weekly show where we cover all the news for Liverpool Football Club. We are born in Liverpool, but very much made here in Australia. On this week's podcast, I'm joined by Harry, our newest member of the team, as we look at the Marseille win, fantastic win in France, and we look at the Bournemouth defeat, as well as a little bit of trivia for you, plus Qarabag in the Champions League, and a massive game against Newcastle up next week in the Premier League. If you haven't already, give us a follow, like, subscribe, all of that nonsense. Enjoy the pod. It does concern me that although we have, in theory, great leaders in the team, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Salah, we're not seeing leadership qualities.
This is the Reds Down Under podcast, the best place to follow the Reds in Australia. Enjoy the show.
We are the Reds Down Under, and this is our podcast.
Harry and everyone, let's start with Marseille, mate. Liverpool, we're going into the game really needing a win, actually. I thought a really good performance. The first thing that surprised me from when I looked at the team news was the shape. It was definitely a 4-2-2-2. Were you surprised that the manager changing the formation for this game?
In some ways, yes. I think it worked quite well. I was really interested to see how the front two went in Salah and Ekitike, because obviously Salah, I think that was his first game back in the squad, if I'm right. So, yeah, look, the new formation worked well. I was surprised to see it, though, because it hasn't been introduced to us Liverpool fans all season long. But nonetheless, it worked, and a clean sheet is important for us as well, and 3 points in the Champions League.
Massive. Absolutely massive, and we talked about it last week, and I was saying, I was really trying to drive home how difficult of a place Marseille will be for us to go. I thought the performance was really good from the outset. Really, we looked like we were looking to get the ball in behind. We spoke last week, and I said, against Burnley, we only had 2 through balls in the whole game, and in the first 20 minutes, we had a whole bunch of through balls. I thought that Mo Salah in particular was a threat. Ekitike is always going to be a threat in behind as well, and we definitely looked more likely to score. We had 17 passes in the opposition box, and we had runners. Szoboszlai was getting into the box often, as well as the 2 front players. Frimpong and Kerkez, again, mate, we'll come back to Kerkez a little bit later when we talk about the Bournemouth defeat. But Kerkez and Frimpong, again, mate, excellent in those wide areas and offering stability now in terms of rotation there. That those players seem to be the absolute number ones in those areas.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think Frimpong's goal, well, I don't know if it's got given down as his goal, but sort of the build-up play for that second goal really summed up the way he's playing at the minute. He's attacking. And with that formation, I noticed that Salah, with him starting to drift inside, it allowed Frimpong out wide. And on the other hand, Kerkez was sensational. Defensively, I think, like a lot of fans have gave him a bit of criticism this year, because we know he's that energetic fullback. We know he's going to give 100%. He'll run all day. Probably one of the fittest players in the side. But there were attributes that his game were missing. But Wednesday morning just showed, or Thursday, I can't remember, it's been too long, just showed, I guess, his strengths, and him along with Frimpong were, I thought, fantastic in this one.
Absolutely. I thought that Liverpool were excellent in transition in the game, and I've been trying, I went through Instagram again this morning to try and find which creator it was. I watched the video this week, and it was about Liverpool's lack of ability on the counter-attack. And I couldn't have agreed more with the content. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is exactly the point I was trying to make last week, is in the transition, Liverpool don't look likely, they don't look sharp. But in Marseille, they did. We definitely looked like we were going to create chances often in the game. Soboslai's free kick, fantastic.
It was a brilliant moment. I had an idea that it might have been a similar situation. I know we'll get to the Bournemouth game, but where Salah someone might have rolled it off to him and he might have took a strike. But the intelligence to know that the wall's going to jump. I think with the wall usually setting up, sometimes a player lays behind the wall, so there's no threat underneath. And Soboslai noticed that there was no player under, and such a good moment. And I think we needed that before the break too, because we deserved to go into the break 1-0 ahead, because Ekitike had a disallowed goal and we had a few chances, like you mentioned, in transition. I feel like we pinched the ball up so high up the field, but there were just times where that final pass from a Salah or a Wirtz or Soboslai was missing. So, yeah, an incredible moment from Soboslai, who's at the moment just killing it.
He is killing it. He is killing it, and he's showing consistently that he's a big moment player for Liverpool, and that's absolutely what we need. And when he first came in, there was people who were saying he was sort of like a Steven Gerrard player, and he's got a long way to go before he's a Steven Gerrard player in my eyes. But Dominic Szoboszlai has definitely been one of the most important figures for the team. And you're talking about winning the ball back. We won the ball back 33 times in the game. So I thought the press was fantastic. I thought the shape was great. I thought the manager got it spot on. In defence, we were fantastic. And Joe Gomez played at centre-back with Virgil van Dijk, as he did this morning against Bournemouth. Kanate was missing, and I think we all know, obviously, Kanate lost his dad this week, and he's came in for a lot of criticism this season, Kanate, and I think rightfully so in many ways. But obviously, when someone loses a person so close to them, we all know what that's like, and I think he'll be getting a lot of empathy and sympathy from Liverpool fans. So, Ibrahim, God bless you, lad, and I hope you're doing okay with your family. And to be honest, I can't wait to get you back in the squad, because we need you in terms of quality and numbers, for sure. So the Marseille win was fantastic. As I mentioned last week, Matty Pugh attended his 300th game as a Liverpool fan, which is just fantastic achievement for any Liverpool fan. In Australia, we're lucky if we get to go to a handful, aren't we? So Liverpool get the win in Marseille, puts them in a fantastic position in the Champions League group. The Frimpong goal, Harry, was an own goal. So unfortunately, he doesn't get it. But it was an attacking through ball that put Cody Gakpo in for the third. So it was nice to see the through balls happen. And who knows, maybe Arnie Slot does listen to Reds Down Under podcast after all. Harry, let's talk about the potential that there could be some players leaving Liverpool in the January transfer window, and a couple of them I wasn't expecting to see. Let's start with Andy Robertson, mate, because it all but looks signed, sealed, and delivered for him to move to Spurs.
Yeah, it does. The rumours were really quick to come out. They didn't hesitate in the sort of sense of releasing it to the socials, and it seems to be the case, doesn't it? I think it looks signed, it looks sealed, but I don't want to see it happen, even though it looks like it is going to happen, because we saw a blow to Gomez this morning. Robinson did have to come on, and I just think, with the way things are sort of heading and us not looking to sort of bring in that centre back, I feel like Robbo is still needed in and around the change room. He brings that experience. But ultimately, there's so much we can say, but at the end of the day, it does nearly all but look confirmed, Tom.
From a business standpoint, I completely understand the sale. The player's out of contract in the summer. He's 31 now, and let's be honest, let's all be honest with ourselves. Over the last 3 years, his performances have completely dropped off from the levels that he was. But he just looks like such a cracking lad. Obviously, everyone in the dressing room loves him.
Yep.
The fans love him. We see ourselves in him. And he will be a massive loss, I think, to to the culture of the football club. I think he understands what it is to play for Liverpool. And I was there. The game I think he really established himself in as a Liverpool player, and we were playing Man City at Anfield, and he followed the ball in a high press from left back, and he followed it all the way across the pitch to the other side, to the Man City left full back, and it just got an absolutely massive cheer on the night. And we beat City that night, but that's the memory. I can't remember the goals, but I remember that Andy Robertson press. And I think that summed up his attitude as a Liverpool player down the years. What a fantastic bit of business he has been. I do worry about the culture, the guy who we're losing. As a footballer, I think that he is the sort of player, and I've said this recently on the podcast, that, you know, away in the Bernabeu in the Champions League, he's not a bad guy to have on the field at any point in the game. He's obviously second choice at the moment, and in a football sense, I can sort of understand saying, okay, well, he's not playing, but it will be really, really sad to see Andy Robertson go, and it looks as well like if that does happen, Liverpool will bring Tsimikas back from Roma. Who, to be fair, looks like a cracking fella as well to see.
He's had some good memories in a Liverpool shirt as well. But yeah, you summed it up perfectly. Like, Robertson, he was in a way a Trent Alexander-Arnold in terms of he loved the club. He wanted to give his all for the club, and that press that night summed it up. I think that video's when you search for Andy Robertson, that's certainly up the top of the list. But yeah, Tsimikas coming back is interesting because, being low on defenders like we are, you'd assume that would be the case and they'd recall him from loan at Roma. But in the meantime, yeah, Robinson, certainly a huge loss. And I agree with your point as well, and bringing him in important games. I think Slot, ever since Jurgen sort of left, is where I believe his performances have gone down that bit. Maybe Jurgen's last season. But yeah, you're right. He's not bringing that same energy going forward and whatnot like he used to. But yeah, going to be a huge loss, and really interested to see if Tsimikas does come back and join Kirkers in that left back department.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, they say there's no room for sentiment in football, and I completely disagree with that. It would be nice to have kept Andy Robertson. He's our vice captain. It would have been nice to keep him at the football club. But I can't help but feel that there is a willingness at Liverpool Football Club to have good relationships with Spurs at the moment. We'll come back to that. Curtis Jones is another player linked with Spurs. Harry, he's had a fantastic season this season, and he had a good season last season as well, and he had moments under Jurgen Klopp. He's definitely been one of our strongest midfielders, I thought, this season.
Yeah, and it'd be such a shame to see him go, even though it's not as heavily rumoured as the Robinson debate. I think people would be more interested in that debate. But nonetheless, I think, yeah, Jones is a player who I think he protects and shields the ball really well. His calmness on the ball is a huge presence. But when you look at Curtis, like, he has had to battle with some of the best midfielders since he's joined the club to fight his way into the starting team. Like, the poor kid has had stints when players have gone out injured and filled that midfield role. But, you know, with the midfield we had last year of McAllister, Soboslai, Gravenberch, over the last 2 years, sorry, it's been really hard for him to get consistent game minutes. But yeah, I guess the Liverpool and Spurs saga continues because it looks like they are after him. So I think he's a class and top player, so I'd hate to see him leave. But we'll see what happens.
I think for me, there's only one situation for me where the player leaves the football club in January, and that's if Liverpool have already identified a player who they believe is going to be one of the main men in their midfield. In a more of a, not so much a Jones sort of role, but someone who is probably going to go and sit in there with McAllister or Gravenberch, and probably Gravenberch, let's be honest. at the moment. McAllister's shown glimpses, but he's been nowhere near the footballer this season. And to be honest, looking at McAllister, I don't think he's happy. I
No.
really don't think Alexis McAllister is happy at the moment. So,
100%.
you know, I think if Liverpool go and get 30, 35, 40 million for Curtis Jones, I think it would be decent business. And maybe Liverpool would then go and look at putting that money forward for an Anderson from Forest, who I really like, or Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace, who's got a lot of quality. And, you know, Crystal Palace are in free fall at the moment. And if there was a time to go and nab a player from an unhappy team and an unhappy club, it might just be the moment, because whoever comes in at Crystal Palace in the summer as the manager is certainly going to want Adam Wharton in there. He's a fantastic footballer. What I will say as well, H, on the Spurs situation, and it's something that I've discussed before on the podcast, is Van der Ven at Spurs.
Yeah.
He's a very, very good centre-back. He's absolutely lightning quick. I think he likes to play left centre-back, which would be an interesting decision if we went for him. Liverpool need to sign a centre-back, H.
It is. It's getting to the sort of business now where it's crunch time, isn't it? And this morning just proved just that, didn't it? With Joe Gomez going down, but I think I've got not much to say on this other than, can we hurry up and sign a centre back?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it, won't we, when we look back at that Bournemouth game a little bit later on. But Kanate was away on family reasons, and Joey Gomez gets injured in the game, and it's abundant for us all to see that we haven't got centre-back options in there. And I think people have started to point fingers at Edwards and Hughes and talking about their inability to bring quality players into the team in January, and players that we need. And I think it's vital. I think it's vital for the rest of our season. I think if Liverpool don't bring in a top centre-back in January, I think it's going to be really difficult. I still think we could do something special in the Champions League this season if we keep all our players fit. But we'll get to Bournemouth in a bit, and we'll talk about the threadbare substitute bench. And the last one I want to talk about, Harry, is a potential departure. Is a player who's came in for a lot of stick this season. He's a player that people just struggle to like.
Yeah.
Is Cody Gakpo. He's been linked with a move to Bayern Munich, and the talk is that Liverpool could get up to £80 million for Cody Gakpo. Is that money you'd snap their hands off for at this moment in time?
Ooh, it's a tricky one. I agree with the stick part. I think he's becoming a little bit of a frustrating player. Look, I think this wouldn't be bad business. I do struggle to see, though, how he would get decent game minutes as well at Bayern. I know we'd reconnect with our old teammate Luis Diaz, if I'm right. But yeah, good bit of business. But for Cody at the minute, I just don't see him. I don't see enough threat. I don't see, I don't know how many goals or assists he's racked up this season, but he's just a player who the fans are getting just a tiny bit frustrated with. But in terms of this move and this speculation, I don't think it would be such a bad thing, to be honest.
Mate, you say people are getting a little bit frustrated. I think people are at the wit's end with Cody Gakpo at the moment. He's a player that I do like, and a player who does have plenty of quality. But when Liverpool aren't good, Cody Gakpo is really not good. And I think it's possible, and this may be harsh, I think he's a footballer that when things are going well, Cody Gakpo it looks good. And they're not the sort of players you need. You need the players that when it's going bad, they turn up like Dominic Szoboszlai did today. So we'll see whether for Cody Gakpo it's bye-bye to Bayern. Right now, a game that we've been playing recently, H, is stoppage time. And the way we do it is we put 30 seconds on the clock. We put 30 seconds on the clock, and normally I ask people to name as many as they can, as many answers as they can in 30 seconds. But when Harry was on last week, I said, well, why don't we switch it? And you can ask me next week and put me on the spot. So have you prepped anything, Harry? Have you got a stoppage time?
We've got one this week. First week. Hopefully,
Oh.
you asked me not to make it too tricky. It was one of the first things that come to mind.
No, I never said don't make it too tricky.
Now let's see
Go
how
on.
you go. I think I did all right last week with the 2019 Champions League one, but let's see how you go. All right, 30 seconds.
Yeah, and can I say, by the way, before you move on, in the podcast I said, I think you got 7 there. I think you actually got 9.
I think it was the other two midfielders. So yeah, 9.
Yeah, I think you got 9 out of 11, which is fantastic.
Very good. All right,
So,
let's get this
go.
underway. All right. So stoppage time. Tom, name the 5 goal scorers, and one is an own goal, that scored in Liverpool's win against Tottenham at Anfield last season, which secured the Premier League trophy. 30 seconds starting now.
Oh my God. I honestly can't. Oh, Mo Salah.
Yep.
Did he get 1?
He got 1.
Okay, Mo Salah. Luis Diaz. God, this is hard. This is too hard. Cody Gakpo. 3.
He's doing well. 5 seconds.
Trent. No, not Trent. Szoboszlai.
Oh, you only got the 3. Szoboszlai didn't score. That's time. So it was Diaz, McAllister's long-range strike, Cody Gakpo, Salah, and then I wasn't expecting you to get this one, but it was a Udogie own goal.
Oh, yeah. Izagi on goal, yeah.
So
Well, I
3
definitely wouldn't have got that.
I was going to say, yeah. I looked at it earlier. I thought, do I still stick with this question or not? But 3 out of 5 is not too bad.
That's a good question, Harry. Thanks for putting them together. That was hard, that. God.
It was one of the first things that came to mind. It was a memorable night, wasn't it, at Anfield, or afternoon?
To be fair, Harry, at this moment, I am like hammered. So I can't remember the game at all. So the fact I got 3 is I'll absolutely take it. Right, that was stoppage time. I hope you were playing along at home. Let us know. Send us a message on social media and let us know how many you got. And if you haven't followed us yet on social media, get on it. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter, or X, as you might call it. Right, let's talk about Liverpool's recent dip in the red roller coaster ride I've got here in my notes. That's how I felt this morning when I was writing these notes. Liverpool played a Bournemouth in a tricky place, Harry, that we've sometimes struggled there, and there's a famous 4-3 game that we got beat there, which always stands out in my mind as a real hit against Liverpool. We started again with the same formation as we did in France. We went with the 4-2-2-2. Did you think we'd go back to the regular formation, or, I mean, because me thought going into this game, we talked about it in countdown to kickoff last week, which we'll jump to in a little bit for the Newcastle game in the Premier League. We talked about the threat of Newcastle being in the wide areas, and a couple of the players actually that I mentioned as threats was Tavernier and Kluivert, and they were both actually injured for the game.
Yep.
But they played a very wide attacking game, which I think we all expected. Did the formation hurt Liverpool, or was it just a case of individual performances?
I was expecting us to go back to the original formation. Main reason being, I had a huge feeling that Ekitike would start. I think we both predicted on Countdown to Kickoff last week that he was in line to bag a few. We did say it would be high scoring, so we got that bit right. But I just thought, a few sloppy errors. The goals that we conceded were, in a way, preventable, I guess you could say. I mean, the first one comes from Van Dijk, and hearing Arne Slot's press conference post-match, he said there was a bit of wind at the ground, which could have played a bit of havoc. I'm not 100% sure. And then the second goal is a Kirkez got caught in behind. But the formation, again, it looks positive in patches, but that first half we could barely break through. Salah had his moments out wide, but ultimately they took their chances, I guess is the easy way to put it. We did pinch one back before halftime, which was certainly needed. But in the end, going back to your question, I think potentially individual errors was what cost us.
Yeah, I thought the formation. I thought the formation was working actually. First 20, 25 minutes, I thought that we looked good. I thought Mo Salah was offering a lot of a threat, and I thought Florian Wirtz had a lot of freedom. Cody Gakpo really struggled today, and I will defend Cody for a second because it's not a position he plays. You know, playing centre forward's one thing, playing in a two is a completely different thing. Like, this is a guy who is a left winger, that's his position, and Cody just wasn't in the game at all. I thought there was nothing wrong with the formation. I thought we looked like a real threat early on, and then the sort of the wind blew the sails out of Liverpool a little bit. It was two poor defensive moments, and the person I'd like to talk about is the captain and Liverpool's first goal scorer on the night, Harry.
Yeah. He I still don't know if he's at fault to blame for the first goal. I can't really judge, but some of his passes just in general, like, he seems too casual at times for me. The last goal, you can say what you want, but he's claiming there's a shove in the back, but we'll get to that later. But ultimately, I feel like at times he just shows sometimes signs of too calm and too relaxed. And in moments like that where the ball ultimately looks like it's going out, he just didn't seem to have any want or hunger, and ultimately ends up in the back of the net. So I think this was one of his more frustrating games.
Well, I think when Virgil van Dijk plays at his best, he comes across as a player with swagger, and he tries to play the same every week, and I respect that. When it's not going well, the swagger turns into sort of complacency in the eyes of many fans, and certainly in my eyes today, I could see that. Now, the first goal he should deal with.
Yeah.
100% he should deal with it. He doesn't, when he, after he touches the ball, he's hoping that the ball goes out of play. He's absolutely hoping that the ball goes out of play, and it doesn't, and Bournemouth get the goal. And the second goal, now, you mentioned it yourself about Kerkez, but Virgil van Dijk, and we've talked about it on this podcast before, is like 3 or 4 yards deeper than every other player on the pitch. Virgil van Dijk is not playing the offside line. And yes, it's inside Kerkez, and in commentary, Jim Beglin criticised Kerkez.
Yep.
When they draw the line, when you look at it back, Virgil van Dijk he's always like edging. It's like he doesn't trust the other players. Virgil van Dijk plays him on, and it's been something that's happened a lot. We played a game, I can't remember what game it was, and I said that I've never seen an offside line on a 45-degree angle, because that's what it looked like in the replay. And I love Virgil van Dijk. I absolutely love him, and I'm not gonna go in too hard on him here. But I seen his interview after the game, and I was not impressed by his interview at all. It was excuses. He didn't hold his hands up for his mistake. He talked about his goal and how important his goal was at the time of the game. And he keeps saying the word "we," but really it feels like he's protecting himself in that interview. And something hit me when I seen that interview, because Jack's fiance Abby, hello Ab, she said to me this week, she said, a good thing to talk about on the podcast this week will be Virgil van Dijk. She said, because I don't think he's at it, and I wonder whether he's actually a very good leader. And there's just a couple of things that happened today that the performance on the pitch, all players can have bad performances. But then the press conference afterwards didn't impress me at all. And it sort of does draw a line for me of people talk about the lack of leadership, the lack of just desire and fight to win in those last minutes of the game. And I think those things today with Virgil van Dijk just draw a little bit of a parallel on Abby's point. And it does concern me that although we have, in theory, great leaders in the team, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Salah, we're not seeing leadership qualities from those players. But Virgil, I absolutely love you. But look, mate, fingers have got to get pointed, because I didn't think it was the manager's fault today that we lost the game. Harry, the substitutes bench today, mate, was thin on the ground. You know, I always look at the substitutes bench because, you know, I like to sort of play a game in my head, and as the game goes on, I sort of say to myself, oh, okay, I'd bring this player on, or I'd change this. I looked at the substitutes bench today, and of the players on the bench, probably Curtis Jones would argue that he should have been on the pitch today. Ekitike, I think, was rested for fitness reasons. And young Engamoa's had a couple of minutes this season. Kerkez is the clear left back, so he gets in over Robbo. There's not many options on the bench, mate, is there, to change a game?
There's not, and that's something the Slots spoke about a lot in his post-match press conferences, is that we are struggling for depth, and I think that's quite clear to see. I think the likes of Neone, Ramsey, even I think Freddie Woodman, if I'm right, the backup goalkeeper, it's just like a learning experience for them, isn't it? They've just been called upon, thrown onto the bench, get a taste of what it's like. But like you mentioned, we are very thin. I remember the Arsenal game a couple of weeks ago, Tom, when we went to the Emirates and got a point. Now, I remember looking at the two team lists from a bench perspective, and I mean, I don't like to draw this conversation into Arsenal, and I know injuries have affected us this season, but their depth and those players that they could bring on that game were just incredible. They had the likes of Eze, Martinelli to come onto the field, and I feel like Liverpool at the minute, yes, Ekitike and Jones could have argued that they could have started, but we're very thin, and I hate to see us get a few more injuries, because that's really going to test us. I know we should have another centre-back by now, but that conversation aside, this bench is very thin.
It is very thin. It is, and of course, you know, look, we spent a lot of money on Isak, and he's obviously injured for a while now, and Connor Bradley would normally be on the bench, and they're both really good footballers. But you know, the manager's looking to change the game there when we're getting beat, and he changes, and he reverts back to the sort of the 4-2-3-1 formation that has done well for him in the past, that won him the Premier League title at Liverpool. Just trying to change the game, and he brought Engamoa on, mate, for the last 20 minutes, and the kid just looks like a threat every time he plays.
Yeah, exactly. I think he added that little bit more of a spark, didn't he? He wanted to get at his man. Could have had a penalty shout. I don't know what you made of that, but if he goes to ground there, I think it was 15 minutes or something to go, there's potential shouts there for a penalty. But yeah, he wants to beat his man. He had a battle with, I can't remember the Bournemouth player's name, but they ended up taking him off because I think they needed to change down that right-hand side from a Bournemouth perspective, because Engamoa was running him riot. You know what? I still don't know whether Engamoa is better from the start or off the bench, because I seen glimpses today that showed me that in a game where it was 2-2, he was super hungry to get on that field and go and grab the winner or an assist. From the start, in cup games this year, I just don't know if I've seen that sort of same energy from him. But regardless, he wanted to prove a point. And look, on his day, he may have had a penalty, but certainly a live wire for us and an exciting player.
we've got to look after him, haven't we? We've got to protect him. He's only a kid, and we need to make sure that he's got a good football career and he's got a good career at Liverpool. And I understand why the manager is reluctant to play him. And arguably, you look at Cody Gakpo, who's probably the manager's first choice left midfielder, left winger, and Cody Gakpo can boast a lot of big goals, big moments for Liverpool Football Club, and was an important player in that Premier League title win last season. Diaz through the middle and Cody from the left. So I understand why the manager keeps backing him, and I understand why the minutes are a short amount of minutes for Cody Gakpo. The thing that struck me at the end of the game was, and we've had it a few times this season, and I thought it had left us. I thought it had gone. I thought this problem had gone. But in the last couple of minutes, Bournemouth were putting long balls into the box, long throw-ins into the box. And there is certainly like a level of anxiety at the back there for Liverpool. I think the fact that we never had another centre-back on the pitch in Joey Gomez or Konate, I think may have had an effect. Virgil van Dijk wants a foul, which it never was, and Bournemouth go and win the football match. And I think on the face of it, I think Bournemouth definitely could have scored another goal with Evan Nielsen. He missed an absolute sitter for me, an absolute sitter. He should have scored. So. Yeah, but Liverpool had that effort with Florian Wirtz, and the keeper pushed it round the post. That was an excellent save. So there was good moments and there was bad moments, but as I said earlier, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride for Liverpool lately, and there's no doubt that the car came crashing down into the bottom of the loop today. Let's look ahead then, and let's hope the car goes back up, Harry. We play Qarabag in the Champions League next week. What sort of game are you expecting from this one, mate?
I firstly want to see a bit of a reaction from the Reds, because that's going to be a really tough pill to swallow. That late loser against Bournemouth. I'm tossing up whether we'll see heaps of rotation. I'm not quite sure what side the manager is going to put out to face Qarabag. I've honestly got no clue. I'd like to see the likes of Rio start. I would say Chiesa, but it looks like he's still out with injury from what we've been told. So, look, I think keep things fairly the same. I think I agree with you. Let's see if we can keep that formation, because it in patches looks really, really good. The centre-back department, I've got no clue. I don't mind Endo there, but at the same time, I thought Joe Gomez, especially in the Marseille game, was really impressive. So I was looking forward to seeing how those two, in Gomez and Van Dijk, fare before Konate gets back. But now I'm tossing up who partners Van Dijk. But other from that, I think we should keep things fairly the same and just not concede late goals off throw-ins.
Well, the throw-ins have killed us this season, mate, that's for sure. The game against Qarabag, I'm expecting a tough game, actually. I was looking at Qarabag and where they are in the Champions League at the moment, and as long as things stay as it is, they go into the playoff rounds, which is unbelievable for a team from Azerbaijan that none of us have ever heard of, and they're doing really well. And I was looking at their stats in the Champions League so far this season, and they've recorded an average of 48% possession, which for a team, they are minnows in this competition, but they're a team who like to play the ball, keep the ball, and normally that number I would imagine to be a lot lower for a team of their stature. And if they win the game against Liverpool, then they could go into the top 16. So that would mean, that would be absolutely huge for them. So they'll be coming into Anfield fancying this. It's a bit of a free hit for them. And that always concerns me a little bit when you've got you've got a team like that. So I know what you're saying there about Liverpool not, you're not too sure how much sort of rotation the manager will use. I think there will be a little bit of rotation, but I think the the key players in the team will play for sure.
Yeah.
Salah will play, Vert will play, Van Dijk will play. So it'll be interesting to see. So in terms of Qarabag, who knows? Nothing's in the bag. Nothing's in the bag yet. We've got to go and win that football match. So let's see if we do. Right, Harry, give us a prediction, lad. Liverpool versus Qarabag.
I'm going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win. I think I don't know about a clean sheet. I just can't predict this at the minute. We go to Marseille and get a clean sheet, but then concede 3 against Bournemouth, who, don't get me wrong, are really good in attack. So I'll go 3-1, get the goals flowing again, and hopefully get some confidence heading into Newcastle.
Well, I'm gonna say 2-0. I think the Reds will win. I'm gonna give Cody Gakpo a goal in this one. And if Liverpool win, by the way, we could finish as high as, realistically anyway, we could finish as high as third, which would be above Real Madrid in the group. So that would be a really, really nice touch. Right, let's take a quick break, Harry. And when we come back, it's the return of Countdown to Kickoff, mate. Do you want to tell us what Countdown to Kickoff is? It's brand new here at Reds Down Under.
Certainly is brand new. First episode last week for the Bournemouth game. Yeah, just I guess no longer than 10-minute in-depth preview on each and every Liverpool Premier League game. We'll be breaking down essentially where the game could be won and lost, the opposition threats, as well as some bold calls, because we love a bold call here. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is, breaking down where the game will be won and lost, and just your preview instead of sitting down listening to Mark Bosnich rant about the Liverpool for however long he talks about.
Yeah, Mark Bosnich is an absolute idiot. He's an absolute idiot, this guy. So at the moment, we're putting them in the podcast, but very, very soon, we'll release them as individual mini podcasts that'll be released on a Premier League match day, and it's something for you to watch instead of Bosnich. Right, let's get into it.
This is Countdown to Kickoff. We are back. I'm joined by Tom. Tom, we're back at home at Anfield to face Newcastle United. Certainly won't be an easy game. You looking forward to this one?
I always love the games against Newcastle. Always love the games against Newcastle. There's been some cracking games down the years. The 4-3s in the 90s, and there was a great game at Anfield where I think Enrique pumped the ball long and Luis Suarez brought it down on his shoulder and then his chest and then his foot, and he went round the goalkeeper and put it in. Newcastle's always a really, really big game, and when I was going the game, it was always a fixture that I always like to be in the stadium for. Newcastle have got great support.
Yep.
So it's going to be a real ding-dong sort of game, I think, mate.
They're a competitive team, aren't they? And that's something that we've noticed for them for a couple of years now. They will not go down without a fight. But Liverpool have some problems of their own. We yet to await the team news for the Qarabag game and how that fares. But touching on the centre-back partnership, mate, I mean, Van Dijk is almost a certainty, or is a certainty to start week in, week out. But we've seen now with the Joe Gomez injury, and we are recording this now, so we're not sure if he will feature. But if he is out of the squad for this game against Newcastle, who partners Virgil van Dijk back in defence? Does Konate come back in?
I think if Konate is back, he will no doubt play the football match. I think Liverpool will be really keen to get him back in, and we talked about the Bournemouth defeat earlier, and it was abundantly clear that we were really light in that area. And if Konate's back, he plays no doubt, and if he's not back, your guess is as good as mine in this game, because who is in the team who could play at right centre back? You're probably looking at Endo and Gravenberg as the options, and I would be really careful about moving Gravenberg to centre back for this game, because Newcastle's midfield, Tonali, Joe Linton, Guimaraes, these are all really In fact, I think Guimaraes might be injured, but I'm not sure. But whoever's going to be in there, it might be Lewis Miley might play. They're going to be players who are going to be aggressive, who are going to press the ball, challenge, and I think it could be a really key area of the game. So I think you need Grafenberg in midfield. So as it stands, if Kanate's not back, I'd say Endo, but you know, it's a massive concern going into that football match.
Massive concern moving forward, right? Because we are low on stock in the centre-back department. Leone looks to be bound or late return, maybe possibly towards the end of the season. But, mate, this is a busy period for Newcastle. They travel to PSG to take on them in the Champions League on Thursday morning. They then got to back it up with a really short turnaround. And Arnie Slot spoke earlier in the Bournemouth post-match press conferences about possibly the short turnaround maybe have affected the Reds. But after PSG, they travel to Anfield, as we know, for this one. And then they've got to play leg 2 of the Qarabag Cup away to Man City. They trailed 2-0 in that one. So that's going to be some tests for Eddie Howe's side. This is certainly a busy period for them. 3 really, really tricky games.
Massive games of football. And if you're going to look to prioritise those games, I'm sure Eddie Howe would like to go and win another League Cup. But they're only 3 points behind Liverpool in the Premier League at the moment. And they have a genuine chance of finishing in the top 4 this season. And Eddie Howe has done it consistently now. I think they've finished in the Champions League twice now in the time he's been there. So it's a bit of a 6-pointer this game at Anfield, and we don't know what the other results of the teams around Liverpool will be and how Manchester United have fared. So it's a massive game. The game in the Champions League is a huge game for them because they sit 7th at the moment in the Champions League table, and they have an opportunity to stay in that top 8, and that will be huge. And I think if they win the game actually against PSG, they go above them. So it's a big game because they can go out of the 8 in the Champions League. So I think they will go as strong as they can against Paris Saint-Germain, which they need to if they've got any chance of getting something from the game. They need to go strong at Anfield. It's definitely not a place for them to come and to rotate. And I think if there was one game that would drop off for Eddie Howe and Newcastle United, it'd be the Carabao Cup. But we'll see. We'll see what sort of teams he can put out.
He puts out competitive sides, we know that. This Newcastle side, though, in particular, Tom, they've got goals in them. You know, scored 32 this season. We're still waiting for their game against Aston Villa, which is played in the early hours of Monday morning. So we'll know by then how they fare. But like you mentioned, they're not too far behind Liverpool on this Premier League ladder. There's not much of a difference in terms points-wise between 4th and 10th. But an issue for Eddie Howe's side lately is, I guess, rotation. And we look at their 2 strikers, and both are in form, you could say. I think Voltemada's had a really good start to life in Newcastle, but he's sort of dropped off the pace a little bit. But Wissa is a player who's featured predominantly in the Champions League, gotten more minutes under his belt. If you're Eddie Howe come Sunday morning off the back of PSG, which striker, do you think's more effective to hurt Liverpool's backline?
Wissa, 100%. I'd be very surprised if Wissa doesn't play at Anfield. He's an aggressive player. He can get in behind. He's got bags of pace. He's good in the air. He's the sort of player that I will be putting up against Virgil van Dijk, and whoever our centre-back is, let's hope it's Kanate, because Kanate will have a decent ding-dong with Wissa. And by the way, I won't say any more on this, but if anyone's seen the picture of Wissa celebrating his Champions League goal in midweek, if you haven't seen it, have a look at it and let me know what you thought. But Voldemort, is it Voldemort?
Voldemada, maybe?
Voldemada. Yeah. He's a good footballer, and I really like him, and I think he scores all different types of goals as well, and you don't see many lobbed goals in the Premier League, and he scored a cheeky lob this season. He can score with his head. He's decent with both feet, and I think he's a very good footballer. But I think if I was the Newcastle manager coming to Anfield, I want to unsettle the crowd as much as I can. I want to unsettle Liverpool. And I think Wissa as well goes very well with the sort of aggressive midfield 3 that I expect Newcastle to play. So I think he would be the tool in the belt that I'd be looking to use at Anfield.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think he's got that more aggression. He leads their press really well. Another player who's a player that's been around the Premier League for a while now that we're starting to hear his name come across more as we go is Harvey Barnes, mate. He's 5 goals in the Premier League to date as we speak now. He's a player who's hit and miss. He can go on a really good run of streak and pick up goals, and then he can go missing for a couple of weeks. But this battle, if he is to start, again, we aren't aware of team news, but if he is to start, he'd be matching up against what we believe would be Milos Kerkez. You're looking forward to that battle because Kerkez always brings that energy and intent to the game. I'm certainly looking forward to this battle. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I think the game will be won and lost in the midfield three. Whatever the midfield setup is in this game. Maybe we'll talk about how Liverpool might set up in a second. But the threat of Harvey Barnes, he can play on the left and the right actually. So whichever side he goes at, he's always going to be a threat. And I think what we have seen from Kerkez is he actually steps up. I think for the big games, and as long as he can show his general performance level that he's had over the last 5 games in that game against Newcastle, there's no reason he couldn't keep Harvey Barnes quiet. And to be honest as well, if Harvey Barnes does play on the right hand side, it's where Virgil van Dijk will play as well. So I'd be a lot more confident if he's on that side than on the other side, where Frimpong will probably have a lot more room. So he could decide this game, Harvey Barnes. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out. But why not back Milos? He's been doing all right.
He has been, and I like how you mentioned he rises for those bigger occasions, doesn't he? He seems to have more aggression and fire under his belt. But don't get me wrong, I think every game we've seen this season, he still has the same intent, still the same intensity. It just hasn't been at the races in some other attributes. But this Newcastle side, Tom, they really struggled for picking up wins away from home, away from St James's Park earlier on in the season. Looking at their stats now, they've drawn 4 away from home, won 2. And lost 5. This seems like they're starting to find consistency away from home. Do you sense this as a game where they could pick up their 3rd win on the road in an Anfield place which has starved of victory lately? I mean, our last home game was a 1-1 draw with Burnley.
I think if I was Eddie Howe, I'd be going into this game saying, hey, look, Liverpool are vulnerable, are fragile. Depending on which performance you look at from last week. If you look at the Marseille one, then we look really strong and assured and confident. Bournemouth was a lot different. I think this is a game that Newcastle will turn up hoping to get 3 points. I've got no doubt about that. I think their defensive record hasn't been fantastic, and their away record has not been good this season, but they've done well at St James's Park. But you know, Anfield will be up for it. I think it's always a sort of raucous atmosphere when we play Newcastle United, and it won't be an easy game to play.
No, it certainly won't be. But mate, let's flip the script. You mentioned there Anfield and the importance of getting back to winning ways in the Premier League, because we've only won, I don't think we've won any of our last 5 Premier League fixtures, which is a stat that we don't look on with much happiness. And I don't think we've won a Premier League game in 2026. So what are you expecting from the Reds in this one, mate? It's a chance to get back to winning ways. Are we hoping to find that attacking spark and shut Newcastle down, especially in that midfield, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I think the midfield is a key area in the game. I expect Newcastle to play Arne Slot's favourite term, a low block. I think they'll be really difficult to break down. And I think what I'm hoping from Liverpool, mate, in this game is that we get, you know, the best of the Marseille performance and the best of the Bournemouth performance, because it wasn't all bad against Bournemouth. Liverpool need to be aggressive. They need to be looking to get the ball in behind as much as they can. Newcastle are a good football team. They're going to be well drilled, well organised. But I think as long as Liverpool mentally are up for the battle, I think there's no reason why we shouldn't go and win the football match.
Well, if you are watching Countdown to Kickoff for the first time, you might have saw our predictions last week discussing our new segment, One Bold Call, which includes a take that that we predict will happen in the game. So I think last week I said there'd be no goals in the second half, Tom. Well, that certainly didn't pan out right. This game against Newcastle, though, what's your one bold call for this week?
Well, firstly, I'd say you're definitely a part of the Reds Down Under team because our predictions tend to be crap. so you're fitting right in our team. This game, look, I mean, I said Ekitike get a hat-trick this week, and that didn't quite happen. I definitely see a red card in this game. 100%. I can see a red card. I think there was one at St. James's Park, wasn't there, earlier in the season?
Anthony Gordon on Van Dijk. Yeah, bad challenge that.
Yeah, really, really bad challenge. Good footballer, though. But he does look like Postman Pat a little bit. But in all seriousness, yeah, I think it will be I keep using this word, but I think it will be an aggressive sort of fixture. You know, you've got Guimaraes, you've got Joe Linton. These are two players who are not... What's the word I'd use? Against getting a card in a game. I think that either player could definitely get either a straight red card or 2 yellow. So I'm going to say a Newcastle red card in the game.
Newcastle red card. I'll tell you what, it's not a bad shout when you look at recent fixtures between these two sides. I'm going to go, it's not a particularly bold call, but I'm going to go for all goals to be scored in the second half. I think that first 20 minutes will set the tone at Anfield, and that's what we have become used to, isn't it? That tone setting in the first 10, challenges flying in. In terms of the red card, I agree with you. I'm not sure exactly where I find it happening, but I do see one happening in the game. But yeah, I think all goals will be scored in the second half. So that's our bold call for the Newcastle game. But Tom, there's one thing that you mentioned earlier, and that was the Reds Down Under team having bad predictions. This week, we've got a chance to correct ourselves. What's your prediction for this one?
I think it'll be a tight game. I really do. I think Liverpool need to score first in the game. I think if Newcastle score first, I think it will be very difficult. I think they're going to play fairly defensively anyway, play on the break. I think Liverpool need to score first. I'll say 2-1 Liverpool, but it won't be an easy game. And why not throw Ekitike's name in there to score the winner? That's
spot on. I think he's going to start from the start this game. Despite what we saw against Bournemouth, where he come off the bench. So, look, a huge night at Anfield awaits, doesn't it? You mentioned the importance of getting the crowd involved, so I'm sure they'll be Liverpool's 12th man. But nonetheless, let's hope the Reds can return to winning ways in the Premier League. This has been a countdown to kick off. Thank you very much for tuning in. Tom, up the Reds.
Up the Reds, mate. Thanks very much. Reds, thanks so much for watching Reds Down Under and for watching the weekly show this week. It was an interesting week, but we got through it. Next week's going to be an interesting one as well, so do keep with us and we'll keep making content. Thanks for all your support so far, and thank you to all the people who made this podcast happen. We've got Ka-Fey in Newcastle, Cheers Bar in Sydney, who are our venue partners, and they really help us by promoting our podcast in their venue, so thank you to them. The L Files, or you might know it as Liverpool Australia, and FOAR, that's foresight.com, Fields of Anfield Road in America. They do blogs and all sorts, and Liverpool in Australia, you can get merch from there. It's got all the latest news. They're fantastic and we absolutely love them. And at the end of this podcast, message a mate who you haven't spoke to in a while. Drop a line to someone who might just need to speak to someone, or even just speak to a mate, because if you're having a bad time, and it happens to us all, when you're having a bad time, you get a message from a mate. It's amazing. It can really make a massive difference in your day. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week for the weekly show, and Countdown to Kickoff will be released soon as mini pods. So do keep an eye out for that. Up the Reds.